This is Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour number 3 here, Ready, Set, Bet, a Saturday playoff edition. I'm Mike Somich. He's Aaron Halterman. Thank you for joining us here, and we have got some NHL playoffs to talk about, but first, we've got some baseball games that are going to be first pitch starting at 7:10 here that we've got a couple bets from as well, Aaron. Late game on tonight's slate, the Giants taking on the Angels. Landon Rupp out there for the Giants, Kyle Hendricks for the Angels. Giants minus 135 favorites, total sitting there at 8.5. But before that game gets underway, we've got the Sacramento A's, the Athletics, whatever you want to call them, heading out to Milwaukee, taking on the Brewers. The Brewers minus 125 favorites with Patrick on the hill, taking on Severino and the A's plus 105 coming back the other way. Total sitting at 8.5 in that spot. And Aaron, you've got to play here in the A's Brewers.
Yeah, I thought this was a good spot to play the Brewers. They're only minus 125, and I thought that was a decent enough price to go in with them here. Like the pitching matchup, Patrick having off to a very good start right now for the Brewers. Severino for the A's. You know, he's off to a rough start. He is 0-3 with an ERA just over 4. We know he's a little bit better than that. He'll probably kind of get back to where he should be as the season goes along. But this is a tough spot. Milwaukee, year after year, just keeps on winning. They're 8-3 at home this year. They're a much better team at home than they are on the road each and every season. So I thought at minus 125, they were a good look here to kick off kind of the late slate. Like I said, anytime you can kind of get them at a decent price at home, especially against, like you said, an A's team that it's like they're better, they're getting better. They're still not all the way there. I think this is a good matchup for the Brewers tonight.
Yeah, Severino been beat up in his last 3 starts as well after starting the season hot against a anemic Mariners offense up in Seattle. We've got a matchup of the Braves taking on the Twins, and we'll see 2 starters, one with a very short name and Chris Sale taking on one with a very long name and Simon Woods Richardson out there. The Braves and Sale minus 218 favorites. Woods Richardson coming back for the Twins at plus 180, total sitting at 7.5 there. I like the Braves. I don't want to lay the 1.5, so going to pass on that one. We also have a 7:10 first pitch between the Padres and the Astros. I do have a play here. I was surprised this was minus 115 Padres, minus 105 Astros, especially with Michael King on the hill. I do believe in Michael King more than I think other people do. I feel like they should be a bigger favorite. I looked at the first 5 here in this spot. You can get Padres minus 115 first 5. Padres are hitting the ball, and King is pitching well. The Astros, they've been a little more hot and cold with the bats, and you get a positive pitching matchup here. So give me the Padres first 5, minus 115. I thought this would be closer to that minus 130 range. Aaron, any opinion here on Astros Padres?
I like your pick here of the Padres, and this is one where I didn't make it an official play. And listen, there's still time. I could put this bet in. Still have it, but I'm with you. I think the pitching matchup definitely favors the Padres. They're a really good team so far this year. 15-5 to start the season. Excellent team. Houston kind of doing, they're better than they were last year to start the season, but kind of doing Houston things to start off now. This could be a trend where they're just kind of average. Obviously, they were below average at the first of last year, but I like the play. I think if you're going to play something here, San Diego is the side to be on.
Yeah, we've got baseball going on. We've got the NBA playoffs that have tipped off. The Pacers currently running the Bucks out of the building. We've got the draft coming up on Thursday night. Make sure you tune into VSiN for that. Every single pick matters. Tune into the 2 special live shows that are going to be breaking down every pick from a betting perspective on VSiN the night of the draft. It starts out with VSiN Primetime Draft Edition starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Cashing Out Draft Edition at 11 p.m. Eastern. Plus, you can explore our draft hub over on the VSiN Watch app featuring expert analysis, team needs, and insights. Visit vsin.com/draft for full coverage and stream it all live on the VSiN Watch app. Now we've got that draft starting on Thursday, Aaron. We've got the NHL playoffs starting in just 3 hours here with our St. Louis Blues heading into Winnipeg, taking on the Jets in game 1. Right now, the Jets actually getting bet out around a minus 210 favorite for the series. You can get the Blues coming back at plus 195. We've both got a bet from game 1 here. So let's start there before we look at the series as a whole. What do you like here in the first game?
Yeah, we both really like this under goal and a half first period here for the Blues in Winnipeg. And for me, it was as simple as I was breaking it down, and I did not want to lay, minus 200 plus with Winnipeg. And I didn't want to play on minus a goal and a half either, but I wasn't overly confident in the Blues. But when you look at this series, I think it's going to be a very tight series, a tight checking series. The Blues, a young team. I think they'll play tight early, try not to make a mistake. You've got two good goalies with Binnington and Hellebuck. So I think it's an under series all the way through, specifically in the first period. So under goal and a half first period for me, I think it is the best bet today on the board in the NHL. Would be really surprised if we get a high scoring game tonight.
Yeah, same bet, little different reasoning here. You always see the home team come out with a ton of energy in these first periods. So if I'm taking under first period, I will believe that the road team can weather it. And I think the Blues are built to be able to weather the push that we're going to see from the Jets early here. Since the transition over to Montgomery behind the bench, we've seen St. Louis be one of the 5 best teams at giving up very few chances, quality chances in front of the net. I think that continues against the Winnipeg offense here that the Blues can control. And on the other side, because you have that early push from the Jets, it's unlikely to see 2 goals from the Blues in the first period here. So I like the under goal and a half here, first period as well. Right now sitting at minus 135. It was minus 120 last night. If you're going to bet unders, I said this earlier in the show, if you're going to bet unders in the NHL playoffs, bet them early because they usually get bet down, especially these first period and full game unders when we get later into series. So game 6s, game 7s, generally you're going to see the market gravitate toward those unders. So if you like the under, bet it early. If you like the over, bet it late. Late puck drop today. The Avs headed into Dallas to take on the Stars here in game 1. The Avalanche are a favorite in game 1, minus 162 now. So Av money coming in. You can come back and get the Stars at plus 136. We actually have a 6.5 total that is popped as well, Aaron. The over now at plus 102, under minus 122. Do you like anything tonight? Avs and Stars.
Man, if that price keeps floating up, I may have to just take Dallas because I just think that's a little crazy. If you could get plus 136 on the Dallas Stars, I know there's injuries there, but they're at home. They're a very good playoff team. They're a very good defensive team with Jake Ottinger in net, a very good goalie as well. As this thing keeps floating up, they're kind of tempted me to say, you know what, let's just take Dallas. Let's count on the defense to kind of shut down the top 2 lines of Colorado. Maybe we can win a 2-1, 3-2 type of game. When we first started looking at this thing, it was like plus 105, plus 115 for Dallas. So that number is kind of making me think, let's take a little shot with Dallas tonight.
Yeah, I played Avs in 60 minutes in regulation on the puck segment of this show, and that was plus 115. That's now plus 110. I kind of agree with you. If this price floats too much, maybe we get a Stars ticket in here at a plus money number. I kind of like the under 6.5. I mean, don't you think that Dallas tries to win with defense here? They're missing their best scorer and Jason Robinson like up front, so you have him out for this game. It feels like Dallas may try and make this more of a defensive struggle. And as good as the Avs are offensively, they're another team that can keep you off the scoreboard. So I might look at the under 6.5 here now that we've seen that number pop.
Well, you got to think about this too in hockey. In hockey, the home team gets the last change. What that means is the home team can put their players out last. So they will see what Colorado puts out, and then they will match up with them. Now, what that tendency like that, what that leads to do, the home team has a better chance of controlling the tempo of the game, right? They'll have a better chance to control the flow of the game. And so with Dallas, they're an elite type of team when it comes to defense and when it comes to goaltending. So what you said is absolutely correct. If Dallas has their way, they want a 2-1, 3-1, 3-2 type of game. All those scores will go under. So the key is going to be, can they control the tempo like we kind of think they're going to? Because Colorado wants to play fast, especially with the injury to Robertson. They want to play fast to Dallas. They want to make it an up and down game. Now, when they get home, I think they have a better chance to control that tempo. But they may have to play the Dallas style of hockey tonight. That's not impossible for Colorado to win. But I do think Dallas will focus very much on being a conservative team, try to lock them down, and try to keep the score down.
Yeah, that all points more to the under. You're kind of talking me into the under here just because of Dallas and that last change. Now, we're going to be back on tomorrow together, so we'll be able to talk about the Sunday series tomorrow. I want to cover one of the series that starts on Monday, and the side that I like the most of any series here in the first round, I love the Los Angeles Kings. Plus 115 taking on the Edmonton Oilers, last year's Western Conference champions. I don't think you can say enough about how much Edmonton has lost in a single year. Broberg and Holloway, they go to the Blues during the offseason. You've got Ekholm, who gets injured midseason. He's going to miss this series. You've got Evander Kane out for the year. Draisaitl missed the last 4 games of the regular season. He is expected to be back. We'll see what we get from him. Oh, by the way, McDavid was banged up in March. It's just April. Is he 100%? And to me, there are so many question marks, and I haven't even mentioned the goalie yet for Edmonton, that I like this Kings team that is 17-4 before they lost the last game of the regular season, is 31-5-4 before they lost the last game at home in the regular season, and has home ice advantage against a team that's knocked them out the last 3 years. Am I crazy for loving the Kings here in the first round, Aaron?
No, absolutely not. I bet the Kings to win the series as well. I do not think they should be the underdog because of what you laid out. And look, if you forget about last year, which it's hard to do because the Oilers were great last year in the playoffs. They did things that they normally don't do. Forget about last year, though, and look at all the other years they've made the playoffs with McDavid. They have not been a reliable team. They have not been a team you want to bet. And so I think the market just loves Edmonton every time, right? They see the star power and they want to bet them. I think the Kings are a better team. I think they're a very good defensive team. I think home advantage really matters in this series because they are tough to beat, talking about the Kings at home. So, look, I think when you look at this, the Kings make a ton of sense. They should not be the underdog. So I'm with you. I bet them as well.
Yeah, Kings have been the best team on home ice in the NHL this year. Not a fact that a lot of people know. And Anze Kopitar, he's still going, man. He was a big part of the Kings teams that won 2 championships in 3 years. He is someone who is a very tough matchup for Connor McDavid because he can play 200 feet and challenge McDavid both on the offensive and defensive side of the ice. Don't worry. We've got more hockey talk here on the other side. We're going to have Kevin Rogers join us from Proline TV after the break here. Make sure you stick with us. This is Ready, Set, Bet on VSiN.
To Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back in here, Saturday playoff edition of Ready, Set, Bet. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman, and we've got one sweat that we do have here in the Pacers-Bucks game, Aaron. It's 104-85. Pacers clearly going to cover the 6.5, 7, whatever number you got them there as they got bet down. But the total still very much in question. Right now, the live line at 223.5. So we're right around that 224 number we saw the total with earlier. If you want to lay it with the Pacers at 16.5, you can get 40-1 on the Bucks to come all the way back. Probably unlikely. Any interest in this one at all, or is this just let it play out?
I'm going to let it play out. I've been saying it the whole show, but I do think it's interesting. The Bucks are scoring again, so you might get to that total there. It's all going to be Bucks dependent, right? So we'll see if they can kind of stay in it, kind of keep going here, right? That's going to be the big key. Try to play for pride almost is what you're looking at right now with the Bucks.
Yeah, we got 3 games going on in Major League Baseball. Your Phillies up 9-4 here in the 6th inning, so 1.5 looking good there. Our Diamondbacks bets looking bad. Zach Gallen's gotten beat around in the first 2 innings, giving up 6 to the Cubs. They're up 6-1 after 2. And the Blue Jays and Mariners 0-0 right now early in the first inning. Now let's head over to the Progressive guest line, and we're going to bring in Kevin Rogers, a fellow hockey enthusiast who loves to bet first periods. Kevin, how's it going, man? Happy playoff day.
Mike, Aaron, it's good to be here. And yes, a very underrated thing is to play the first period. Why in the world would you want to have the full game, especially in these playoffs when you can have a 2 or 3 overtime game end on something weird? You might as well just get your bet done in the first 20 minutes and then watch the rest of the game.
Now, playoff hockey, generally, it's a little more tight checking. You don't get as many power plays. We see less goals. Every single game won in every series lined at 5.5 for the total, except for the Stars-Avs game tonight, which has been bet up to a 6.5 total now. You're looking first period, and you're going a little bit against the grain. Tell us about why you like the under first period here in the Avs and the Stars.
I do, and I know people don't love the contrarian angle. They don't love the, just going the other way just because the three meetings they had this season all went over the total in the first period, and everyone expects a lot of goals. But Jason Robertson, Dallas's big gun, one of the big guns on the Stars, he's sidelined. He had a knee injury in the final game of the season against Nashville. And Dallas has just free fallen over the past week and a half. They had a nice winning streak going towards the end of the season. Then they ended up losing 7 in a row. They had a shot to catch the Jets and then just dropped 7 straight. We all remember that Vancouver meltdown. They were up 3 with the minutes to go and lost in overtime. And I just think that Dallas will try to tighten things up tonight. They don't want to get into a high-scoring game with Colorado. And even the Avalanche towards the end of the season, I understand that they had everything locked up in the final week that we knew it was going to be Stars-Avalanche. But in their final 5 games, the Avalanche scored 1 goal in the first period. So I just don't think that these teams are going to go back and forth and light it up, at least to begin this series. Who knows as we progress in the series? But I just think that here at the you can get a nice under 1.5, which you don't normally get as far as the price in the first period in the playoffs. Because the Jets Blues, it's like minus 130, minus 140 for the under 1.5. You're getting a nice price for the Stars Avalanche under 1.5. I think it's a good time to take it and take a shot here in that in game 1.
We just talked about it on the show, too. It feels like what you just said is going to be true. Dallas is going to try to slow this game down as much as possible with the injury to Robertson. So I think that makes sense as well. We're going to lock those in as well with you. All right, one more first period bet you've got here. You're looking at the Eastern Conference with this one with the Devils and Hurricanes. Tell us what you got.
I do like Devils game 1 first period. Now, there's no Jack Hughes for New Jersey, their best player, understandably. He's been out. So obviously it's a big hit for the Devils. But also, I feel like with Carolina, there's only so far you can trust them. Carolina should win this series, but I don't think it's just going to be as easy as everyone thinks. I'm going to give you a couple first period numbers on the goalies. Fred Anderson's going to start tomorrow. Last 9 games in the first period, the Hurricanes are 2-5-2 when he starts. And in the 2 games that Carolina led after the first period, Carolina scored 2 and 3 goals. I don't think that's going to be the case coming up tomorrow. When you look at the Devils, Jacob Markstrom, he's going to get the start. 5-3-2 in the last 10. It's not overwhelming, but still, when you get them at a plus price, if you get a tie after the first period, you get your money back. So it's not like it's anything that bad if you have a 0-0 or 1-1 after the first period. I just think New Jersey, knowing that they are the underdog, knowing they're without their best player, and that everyone's picking Carolina, that New Jersey is pretty much playing with house money at this point. And Sheldon Keefe, it's his first time as the head coach of the Devils here in the playoffs after his run in Toronto, that he wants to make a statement early. So again, I think Carolina wins this series, but I think New Jersey will come out of the gates early tomorrow and at least get the lead after 1 period. And you don't have to worry about the rest of the game. Go up 1-0. Who cares after that? But I think the Devils will get the lead after the first period on Sunday.
We got Kevin Rogers here on the Progressive Guest Line, sports betting analyst over at Proline TV. You can find him at Rogers Picks over on X as well. And Kevin, rarely do we see the 2 favorites to come out of a conference play each other in the first round, but that's what we've got over in the East. The Panthers taking on the Lightning in the Battle of Florida. Right now, the Panthers minus 115 for the series, plus 350 to win the East. You've got the Lightning coming back at minus 105 for the series, plus 400 to win the East. Who do you think makes it out of this massive first-round series we're going to see?
Well, number one, you're expected to get Matthew Tkachuk back for the Panthers. It seems that way, that he's practiced and that he's been out since the Four Nations break, and that you've seen the Panthers taking a hit with him being out. You see, I mean, obviously a guy like that, one of their top players, not playing the last few months. The Panthers were in first place in the Atlantic and then finished in third. Now they got to go on the road. Granted, it's not a far trip, but still playing in Tampa, is never easy. And they did eliminate the Lightning last year in the first round. It's the 4th time in 5 years they're playing the Lightning. And Tampa Bay, they have 4 players with 35 goals or more. And Jake Gensel's one of them who they picked up in the offseason. Braden Point's always been a Panther killer. And Andrei Vasilevsky is still one of the best in net. And I mean, Sergei Bobrovsky won a Stanley Cup last year. And we see all the weapons that the Panthers have. If you can get Tkachuk back to 100% or close to it, then the Panthers definitely have a good shot. But I think that the matchup, the Panthers don't match up well with the Lightning. They just don't. And I think that Tampa Bay could win this series in 6 games. Again, Tkachuk's health is very key. But at the same time, Tampa Bay, I understand like the last game of the season for the Panthers, they got routed by the Lightning. The Panthers had a couple of their key guys out, but you just look at them like Tampa Bay just looks so good right now. And the Panthers now off consecutive Stanley Cup appearances. That's a lot of hockey to play. They had 8 guys in the Four Nations Cup. It's been a lot of hockey the last few years for this team. So I don't know if they're going to run out of gas here, but I just don't love the matchup with the Lightning. I think Tampa Bay will probably take this one. It'll still be a very good series.
All right, selfish question for us. Somich and I, big-time St. Louis Blues fans. We're very excited to be back in the playoffs. But now the big question for you is, what do you think? Do the Blues have any chance to upset Winnipeg, or are the Jets just too good for us?
You know, St. Louis has been an interesting story this year because they had that poor start, and Jim Montgomery had the poor start in Boston. It was like a marriage made in heaven with him getting fired by the Bruins and coming to the Blues like 10 days later or whatever it was. He had the quick turnaround. They still weren't great. And then they had that 12-game winning streak late in the season. They lost their final few before beating Utah at the end to get in. But I mean, do I give St. Louis a puncher's chance? Yes, because they've won a Stanley Cup in the last few years, so they've been there before. And there is a lot of pressure on this Winnipeg team. And we've seen these teams that jump out to great starts. Winnipeg, Washington, both of them had tremendous starts this season. They've kind of been on cruise control, it feels like, the last maybe month and a half. And Winnipeg knows that, you know, this is their opportunity now as a top team in the West, that it's asking a lot. Connor Hellebuck, too, can he bounce back from a real shaky first round last year against Colorado, where Colorado torched him in the opening round? If St. Louis can overcome some injuries, they have a shot. I would still go with Winnipeg in this one, but I would not count out St. Louis considering all of these series. I don't think it would be any major shock if the underdog won.
Kevin, we got about 30 seconds here. Who lifts the cup this year?
I think it's going to end up being the Golden Knights. I think it's going to be Vegas. I think they're going to find a way to do it again, the second time in 3 years. Again, you have a lot of teams you can make an argument for, but I think at the end, Vegas, they're a deep team. They're well coached, good goaltending. I think that they end up making out of it and winning the cup again.
Excellent pick, Kevin. My futures portfolio likes it. We got the Golden Knights sitting at 14-1, so hopefully we can get them home there. He's Kevin Rogers, sports betting analyst, Proline TV. You can find him at Rogers Picks over on X. Kevin, thank you very much for the time.
All right, guys. Thank you.
I always like the little just the pat on the back there with the futures ticket. Hopefully we are able to get Vegas home. I've got Vegas over Tampa in 6. Who do you like in the cup, Aaron?
I've got Vegas over Carolina in 6, so we'll see what happens. Too many people are on Vegas. I'm starting to get worried, Somich, but I love that team, so we'll see.
Like my Clippers problem here. A lot of people on the Golden Knights. I wish I were a little more contrarian. All right, we're coming right back here. We're going to talk a little NFL draft and specifically what's going on at the wide receiver position, because we're getting a ton of wide receiver 1 news. Who's going to be taken first and where do they get selected? Stick with us here. We'll be right back. Ready, set, bet.
Welcome back to Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We are turning for home here on Ready, Set, Bet. Just 2 segments left. But Aaron, we didn't get to talk about one of the horse races I did want to at least bring up here. One of the poorly named stakes, the Bathhouse Row Stakes here at Oakland Park, race number 6. So you got 34 minutes to post. This is one we talked about over at VSiN Live at the VSiN at the Track, Road to Kentucky Derby. That's on every Friday at 2:15 Eastern, 11:15 Pacific, getting all the Derby news caught up. Big time show next week, right before we have the post position draw, a little better idea of who's going to be in the race. But the Bathhouse Row Stakes matters because it's a Preakness prep here. So 6th race at Oakland, about 34 minutes out. Aaron, who do you like here in the Bathhouse Row Stakes?
It's a pretty good race, I think. And I like the number 7 instant replay to win this one. Now he's a short price, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem. He's 4-5 on the morning line. That's probably what he's going to get bet at. He's a horse that ran third last time out in the Louisiana Derby, which was a Kentucky Derby prep race. Now that was his first try at trying to make the Kentucky Derby. If he had a little more time, he would probably make it, but he kind of ran out of time. So I like him in this spot quite a bit. A horse I like for Bob Baffert has scratched named Tis Secure. So I'm going to go to the rail with number 1, him. I like him in second to kind of set the pace and get caught late. So the 7 on top and then the 1 in second for me.
We're simpatico here. 7-1 Cold Exacta for me here in the Bathhouse Row Stakes. But come on, guys. Better name. Find a better name here. 6th race at Oaklawn, about 33 minutes left. If you want to bet this race or any race on today's card, we'll talk about 2 more here in the next segment. Head over to firstbet.com. Why not try out the races? First Bet lets you wager on hundreds of races across the world, from top tracks in the U.S. all the way down to Australia. You can play some tracks over in England. You can play some tracks in Dubai. You get a little bit of everything, and the video feed included for those bets. Sign up now at firstbet.com. That's the number 1, stbet.com. Use the promo code VSIN200 to claim a 20% rebate on your first 60 days up to $200. With every bet you make, win or lose, you get some money back there. Head over to firstbet.com today to sign up. Now, Aaron, we have teased it a couple times in the show. There's an NFL draft coming up on Thursday night, and one of the more interesting positions to me in this draft is the wide receiver, and we've seen some movement around wide receiver 1. Ted McMillan has been the big favorite to go first overall. There was a video out on social media which caught him saying he didn't really like football. He doesn't like to watch the NFL, college football. He doesn't like tape. And because of that, we have seen the movement in the first overall first wide receiver taken in the move to Matthew Golden at plus 150. Ted McMillan still minus 230 in that market. You've got Ibuka there at plus 1300, and then Luther Burden all the way up at 50 to 1. Hey, there's some other dudes on the board. I'm not going to mention them. I don't think they have a prayer being taken first overall here. Now, one of my favorite props for this draft is the Cowboys to draft a wide receiver plus 120 with their first overall pick at number 12. I thought that was going to be Ted McMillan for a long time. Matthew Golden at plus 115. Now, very interesting to me as the first wide receiver off the board. What do you say here? Who do you think the first wide receiver taken will be?
You know, I read up a lot on this because I was with you. I kind of thought just assume McMillan was going to be the guy, but I kind of lean towards Matthew Golden right now, especially with the Cowboys, because this guy played at Texas. It's like, yeah, that's what they kind of do in Dallas. You know what I mean? They take those Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas guys. You see it happen all the time. So I kind of think it's going to be Golden. He had a great combine. He showed elite speed, and I've seen this guy live and in person. I'm an Oklahoma fan, and he's pretty darn good, this guy. So I think it's going to be Matthew Golden. The way it's trending right now, we still got 3 or 4 days. Maybe things could change, but as of right now, give me Golden.
Now, I agree with you. If I'm going to bet anything here, I'm betting Golden plus 150. If I would bet Golden plus 150, I think this is what makes this wide receiver market so interesting. I think it makes sense to bet Ted McMillan as the second wide receiver off the board as well, because you're at plus 165. You get a better price for him to go second than you do playing Brown or Golden to go first. Now, if Golden goes 1, I think it's unlikely that you see Ibuka or Burden end up coming off the board as the second wide receiver. I think Ted McMillan still ends up being that second off, maybe to Seattle in the high teens there. And Ibuka right now is set at 29.5, is under his juice. So it is expected to see him go in the first round. Burden expected to be a second round pick right now. If you're choosing between Matthew Golden plus 150 first off the board or Ted McMillan at a better price, 165 second off the board, where would you rather put your money to work, Aaron?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I think your reasoning makes sense to try to take McMillan second if you really believe Golden's going to go first. I would still stick with Golden in the first spot, though. I think really you could bet both and be okay. If you really believe that Golden's going to go first, McMillan is very, very likely to go second. And so then you would be okay really betting both. I don't think either one would really be a bad bet. And I'm with you. Every kind of mock draft or just research you do on these wide receivers, it just feels like Ibuka and Burden, they're going to be late first, early second guys. And really, McMillan and Golden are the only two that are ever really talked about as being top 15 type guys. So I don't think you can go wrong with either one. I'll stick with Golden to go first. But yeah, if he goes first, McMillan certainly looks like he's going second. And if you could flip-flop it the other way too, because if McMillan goes first, I think Golden certainly goes second.
Yeah, I think Golden definitely goes second if McMillan goes first. I think that is almost a guarantee. I think we could see Tet McMillan slide down the board. And again, I mentioned Ibuka has been getting some traction here. The 29.5 is his over-under for the draft pick. Under 29.5 now at minus 165. So it is expected he's going to be a first-round pick. If you want to look at the wide receiver market as a whole, the over-under set at 2.5 wide receivers taken in the first round. Right now, the over 2.5, they're at minus 275. Do you think it's Ibuka if it's that other first-round pick? Do you just play his under if you're taking the over 2.5 wide receivers? Or do you think Burden has a chance to jump up to that third spot?
I think Burden should have a chance, but just everything I'm reading and the research I'm doing, no, I think it is going to be Ibuka. We kind of talked about this off air. Of course, Burden went to Missouri, the team that you pull for there, where you went there for a couple of days. But anyway, with Burden, it's like this guy was a stud, right? Like this guy last year was like, he's the guy. This year, he had some injury issues. They had injury issues at quarterback as well. Those numbers weren't there. But look, I really think he's one that's going to slip down under the radar and be very tough, or be a very good pick, I should say, for somebody to pick up. But no, I do think Ibuka is going to go third off the board. It just, everything kind of points towards it.
Yeah, Burden, very interesting to me because he was a top 15, top 20 pick at the beginning of the year, and he struggled at Mizzou. And I think a part of that was the quarterback, part of that the offensive line. It wasn't just on Burden. There's been some character questions around Burden as well, and we've seen him slip outside the first round. Does feel like someone where he could be one of teams like Kansas City, teams like Buffalo that are picking end of the first round that want a playmaker. Burden feels like one of those guys that he could end up being selected. I'll be interesting to see how many wide receivers we have go in the first round. With a little less drama right now, though, is the top 5 picks in the draft. I cannot remember a time where we've had the top 5 that looks so locked in stone. Right now, if you want the top 5 exact order, Cam Ward, who's definitely going number 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, which is expected, Will Campbell in that 4 spot to the Patriots, and 5 Mason Graham, which is a lot of people projecting to the Jags, just plus 120. For all 5 of those to go in order 1 through 5. Very, very short price. Now, it's an information-based market. So it's a market where you're willing to take a lower price, a minus 160, minus 170, minus 250, if you are certain about it. And it feels like we are certain about these top 5. Aaron, if there's a bugaboo, if something goes haywire in those top 5, what do you think that pick is going to be? And what team? Is it because of a trade, or is it someone just kind of goes off the reservation and takes a pick that's unexpected?
Anytime you've got a combination of 5 things happening and you're at plus 120, it's hard to really answer what you just asked, right? Because that's really unbelievable. I think the last thing you said is the key, and I don't know what team it would be, but we always get a surprise on draft night. What if somebody gets crazy? They really, really want a player. They trade up a few spots, and then it throws everything haywire. That's the only thing I could see happening here. Because like you said, it just feels locked in. And you're right. Anywhere you listen, any like website you go to that's reputable, that ranks these draft classes, it's pretty much those 5 are locked right in. So I think a trade's the only thing that could happen. I couldn't tell you, though, who's actually going to go up and do it. That's completely unpredictable. But at this point, it seems like, okay, who are the Raiders taking? That's when it gets questionable at this point. The top 5 look locked in.
Yeah, and it looks like it's Genty to the Raiders, which for my money means if something wonky happens, it's the Patriots trading out of 4 because they can get the offensive lineman they want a little bit later in the first round, or it's someone sniping the Raiders and moving up to 5 to take Genty. Those to me are the 2 most likely combinations because then you're able to go and get the player you want in front of the team that wants him. However, I'm not sure I want to give up the draft capital to do either of those things. I think we're going to see a lot of teams that want to trade back, but not a lot of teams that want to trade up, and that's going to make it hard for draft day moves.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. Is Austin Genty really a guy that you need to trade 2-3 picks for to get up to number 5 to take him? I don't really think so. And so we kind of covered that earlier in the show as well. So I'm 100% with you. I think it's locked in, and 6 could very well be locked in as well.
Make sure you're watching VSiN on Thursday night for the draft. We've got a draft special lineup, a special draft show at 7 Eastern, as well as cashing out at 11 o'clock. Make sure you check those out. We're going to head for home here. One segment left. That means all of our best bets are going to be coming up on the other side of this. This is Ready, Set, Bet.
To Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're back to your final segment of a playoff Saturday edition Ready, Set, Bet. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman, and the Indiana Pacers are up 1-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks, 117-95. 40 seconds left. I'm willing to call this one, Aaron. Looks like the under is going to hit as well. They slowed down in the fourth quarter. That's kind of a bummer, but the Pacers will take a 1-0 lead in the series. Over in Major League Baseball, your Phillies up 11-4 with a couple men on here, bottom of the seventh. Your 1.5's looking good there. Cubs up 6-1 over the Diamondbacks, and the Blue Jays out to an early 1-0 lead against the Mariners here into the top of the third. Now, Aaron, we have a plethora of bets, and we have got about 9 minutes to run through them. So we are going to jump right into our best bets here. I'll let you kick it off as the guest here. Who do you like for your best bets?
Yeah, well, you're right. We got a lot of different things that we can do today, a lot of different ways we can go. So first one, the Blues and the Jets under 1.5 goals in the first period. That's just one that I've liked, pretty much as soon as that came out. That was one that I felt really good about. So that's the big one for me. I also like the number 4 Skippy Longstocking in the Oaklawn Handicap. That's race 11 today at Oaklawn Park. We'll see if he can get the job done there at Oaklawn for us. And then you go to the baseball diamond, and you've got Skeens on the mound for the Pirates against the Guardians. So I've got under 4 for the first 5 for that one. We'll see if Skeens can get the job done. We know the Pirates probably aren't going to get a lot of hits, so that could be safe there if Skeens pitches well. You've got the Mets. I've got the Mets minus 1.5 runs here at plus 120. They're taking on the Cardinals. Cardinals have trouble hitting. Livator on the mound for the Cardinals. That should be disastrous for the Cardinals. And then finally, tonight, the Brewers at minus 130 for me. I just feel like it's a really good spot hosting the A's, like the pitching matchup. Severino going for the A's. He's kind of been hit pretty hard. Anytime you get a decent number on the Brewers at home, they're 8-3 so far. Very consistent team. So I took the Brewers at minus 130 as well. Those were, I believe, the 5. Yeah, I got the 5 bets there. Those are the ones I like best that we didn't get to, or we got to them, but they haven't started yet today. So those are my 5.
Interesting you leave off the one game where we're head-to-head from your best bets, Aaron. You had the Yankees plus 120 earlier as well. I don't know if that's just a Freudian slip there, what's going on, but leave off the one that we are head-to-head. I've got quite a few bets coming up here as well. I'm going to kick it off with the Padres. First 5, minus 115. Michael King on the hill for the Padres. I like them quite a bit. I think we've got an advantage on the offensive side and on the mound. Let's roll with a Padres team that started off the season very hot. Minus 115, first 5 there. I agree with Aaron. Blues and the Jets. This game, puck drop at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. Let's take the under first period, 1.5 goals there. This is a Blues team that should be able to weather the early storm from the Jets, and I don't expect the Blues to get a goal in that first 10 minutes, so we're going to take the under first period, 1.5 Blues and the Jets. I like the Avs in regulation, plus 115. Now that we've seen the total tick up, I kind of like the under 6.5 as well, but we'll keep that Avs in regulation plus 115 as the go-to bet there. And then for me, the Rays first 5 minus 1/2 run plus 110. I like the pitching matchup here, and I'm not scared of the back half of that Yankees lineup. As for the racetrack, Keeneland race number 9, the Elkhorn Stakes. Rebel Red for me, 8-1 on the morning line. Horse coming second off the layoff that I think gets back to business here and improves off of that effort. It was a funky race that he was in last time. I just want to bet against limited liability. Who's your 6-5 favorite there and has not won a race outside of a 2-mile marathon in almost 2 full years. So those are my best bets for the day. All of the best bets on VSiN brought to you by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. GBank is upping the ante with up to $750 in bonus money for a new GBank Visa Signature customers first. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from opening the account will receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you're a high roller and dropping $50K down on gaming or sports app loads within 30 days, you can get another $500 bonus. That's potentially up to $750. Apply now at vcent.com/gbank. That's vcent.com/gbank. Subject to credit approval. As always, terms and conditions do apply. Aaron, we ripped through those best bets. That was good. Are you going to take the Yankees now plus 120? You're backing off it after my wonderful Rays argument.
Okay, let me defend myself. I was trying to copy and paste and put them down here at the bottom. And listen, this is my first time doing the show, and I missed it. It was not on purpose, okay, people? So don't believe this guy. He's a liar, all right? So, no, I will talk about the Yankees right now. Look, they're at their home stadium when they're at spring training, at least. And so I think they're more at home than Tampa. And I told you, we're both in good shape. You like the first five. I like the full game. Give me the Yankees when they get into that bullpen. Carrasco's going to keep them in the game early, keep it, close. So I'll let you have the first five. Give me the full game. We covered this. We're not going to argue with each other. We're on the same page here, right? So we're all good. The double result, go Rays first half, Yankees game. You can pay a nice plus money price there if you want to go that direction. We talked about the Bathhouse Row Stakes last segment. I just want to bring this up because right now, instant replay 3-1, Caldera 1-5. Now that's going to change a little bit, but if you get 2-1 on instant replay, a phenomenal win bet, right? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because we were thinking 3-5 is what he's going to be. So what's happening right now, Caldera is owned by a company called My Racehorse. And what that is, that's actually micro owners. So there's like 2,000 people that actually own a share of Caldera on My Racehorse. Now, 2,000 people own a very, very, very small percentage of this horse, right? But they all bet their horses when they run. So that is creating value for instant replay to get the job done here. If we get 2-1, that's a crazy price on this horse. He is much more likely to win than 2-1. So keep an eye on it. If you're watching Oaklawn, kind of watching those odds, that's something you really need to keep an eye on.
Second series of the day has tipped off. The Clippers and the Nuggets are in action. We've got 9 minutes left in the first quarter. The game is currently tied at 8. Aaron, I went on and on about the Clippers earlier in the show. I absolutely love this Clippers team in this specific matchup. I've got them to win the series in 5. I've got them to win the series at plus 135, plus 115, minus 110. Right now, you get them plus 124 on the money line, plus 3.5 in the game. The Nuggets a 3.5 point favorite. Total sitting at 227.5. I really think this is a great matchup for the Clippers. I didn't bet this specific game because I have so much on the line on the series. You did like the Clippers in this spot. Right now you can catch 3.5 in game instead of 2.5. Are you still a fan of the Clippers here?
Yeah, I like the Clippers here in this spot. I like getting the points as well. And the deal is with this, they just seem to me the team that has the least amount of turmoil, question marks, things like that. And you covered that very well. I'm kind of just repeating what you said because I think it's very accurate. I have a question for you though. Okay. Let's not think about it, but let's think about it. If the Clippers lose this game, what is your panic level for the series and all the plays you have with the Clippers?
I mean, look, it's probably like a 2 or 3. It's a game 1 on the road, right? This is not the game you usually steal. A lot of times you steal game 2 if you're a road team. It's tough to win on the road in game 1. So the panic level isn't high. Obviously, I don't love my Clippers minus 2.5 games at that point, plus 425, but it's plus 425, right? It's not one that you're expecting to hit all the time. The big bets for me are Clippers to win the series, plus 135, plus 115, and then get it minus 110. So I'm not going to be in a high panic meter here if the Clippers do go down in game 1 because it is on the road and it is game 1 on the road specifically. That's just very, very difficult to win in a lot of these series.
What if it's 0-2 going back home to LA? Then is it maybe a 6 or a 7 on the panic level?
Then we're moving up a little bit. Then we're going up to that 6-7 range, especially if Harden's struggled, right? I'm assuming Kawhi's healthy because that's why I'm betting them round to round versus betting them to win the title. If Harden struggles in these first 2 games of what I think is a very positive matchup, or Jamal Murray goes off, if either of those things happen, I'm down 0-2. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. I'm getting a little worried. 2 later series of tip-off in the NBA as well. The Pistons taking on the Knicks. This is a 6:10 tip-off Eastern. The Knicks right now 7-point favorites. They're big-time favorites, minus 400 in the series. You mentioned you might get on the Knicks in this game. Are you going to end up playing the Knicks or are you going to pass?
Yeah, I am going to play the Knicks. Why not? I just kind of feel like the Pistons might need a game or 2 to kind of adjust the playoff basketball. Like I said, from worst to first, now you got to go to Madison Square, not worst to first, but worst to the playoffs, I should say. But now you got to go to Madison Square Garden for that first game. I can see that being a little overwhelming. So I think 7 points, that's about right. So yeah, I am going to play the Knicks in this spot. Going to be an interesting series. I was kind of with you. I thought about maybe sprinkling a little Pistons, maybe get their feet under them as the game or the series goes along, but I just couldn't do it. I still think the Knicks are the play.
I think this is going to be a much-watched series. These two teams are going to hate each other by game 4, game 5. I think this goes over the 5.5. You can get that at minus 125 at over 5.5 games in the series. Last game tonight, the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Right now, the Lakers laying 4, minus 185 on the money line. Total sitting at 216. I lean toward the over here. I think this is another long series. I took the over 5.5 games in this spot as well. That is going to be a fun one as well to see Ant-Man on the floor with Luka, with LeBron, and just kind of see how all of that plays out. Thank you very much for joining us here on Ready, Set, Bet. Make sure you stay tuned after the show. We've got Live Bet Saturday coming up, where we're going to break down all of these games in real time as well. Cashing out with Greg Peterson at 11 p.m. And make sure you catch VSiN Morning Line starting at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning to get you ready for 4 more NBA playoff games, 3 more NHL games, and leading right into us here at Ready, Set, Bet. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. For Mike Somich, he's Aaron Halterman. Thank you very much for joining Ready, Set, Bet.